Calling to order the regular board meeting of November 18, 2021. It is now 4:14 p.m. and we will begin roll call.
President Lay is on her way. Vice President Herrera.
Here.
Clerk Chavez.
Here.
Member Cortese.
Here.
Member Doe.
Here.
Welcome to the board meeting of November 18, 2021. Are there any members of the public who would like to provide public comment to the board on a closed session agenda item at this time? Seeing none and hearing none, the board will now recess to closed session.
We just resumed an open session, and right now it's 6:08. So we have 3.02 Pledge of Allegiance. Please stand up.
Please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance.
All right, we move to agenda item 4.01. And member of the public, please submit your public comment online by accessing the form on the district homepage at www.esuhsd.org or the link on the agenda. Please limit your written comments to no more than 1,000 characters in length. Public comments submitted online will be read into the record. You may also raise your virtual hand in Zoom to request to speak. You will have 2 minutes to speak. Please note that all meetings are recorded. All regular and special meetings of the Board of Trustees and Board Study sessions are streamed live on meeting nights and are also available for viewing the day after the meeting by accessing the district YouTube channel listed on the district webpage at www.esuhsd.org under the quick links section. The board is not able to respond to items that are not on the agenda or any personnel issues. Your comment will be read into the record and will be directed to the superintendent and other appropriate staff member for response. Interpretation of this meeting in Spanish and Vietnamese can be heard by accessing the link and following the instruction shown on the agenda and the district website. Right, we move to 5.01. The superintendent or member may request that item be removed from the agenda for consideration and or carry to a future board meeting for consideration and or action, and or that the board take action in a regular meeting on a subject not listed on the published agenda on an emergency basis or other basis allowed by law, Gov Code 54954.2.
Madam President, the administration asks that we move 11.02 to our next meeting.
11.02 to next meeting. Okay. Okay. Thanks, Superintendent Fantasy. No other requests. Then move to 6 is board special recognition. We don't have anything on the board special recognition. Then we move to 7.01. Paula Csba, Student Governance Board Representative. Welcome back, Paula, in person.
Hi, everyone. I hope you guys are all doing well. I'm really proud to update everyone and really just shout out SGB and what we have been doing. Also students outside of SGB. So today I had the great opportunity to participate in Evergreen Student Equity Council, and we were able to go on a field trip today to Mount Pleasant and meet with their Student Equity Council. And this is all part of the MTSS services that's been going on. I thought it was a very enriching experience being able to talk to other students from other schools that are beyond my own campus. And I thought within this experience, you really got to hear different student experiences, especially students that you don't really typically hear from. And I think that we were able to just share so many experiences and also embrace our differences. And I think being able to navigate those identities really is going to help us. And it was like our first workshop and the many that are going to come. And I'm really excited to see the work that our equity councils across all school districts are going to go and do. And I really hope that this goes in conjunction with the work that we do here in SGB, which in the last meeting, we talked a lot about student mental health and how this kind of plays a role in how we are affected by district grading policies. And as students, we felt that some grading policies need to be updated or need to be discussed, because as of right now, it feels very frustrating and stressful with so much large workloads. And it's a lot of added pressure on students. We have lives outside of school. We have families to take care of. We have, some of us have younger siblings. Some of us have to help out our parents, translate material for them, help our family with finances. And so the reality is sometimes we just don't have time to do our homework. And that really got us talking about what do we want in our district. We want like flexible deadlines. We want opportunities to retake tests if we happen to mess up on one. We really want the opportunity to know our course material instead of kind of being pushed aside if we happen to fail one test. And I think as we discuss these changes, I really hope to see how the district really shapes the district grading policies based on what students need and what is the best manner for us to learn. And something else we talked about that has never really been touched on at previous SGB meetings is kind of how the East Side infrastructure works across all different school districts. And we talked a lot about our interests and really making sure that our school district is really getting ahead with climate action and that we're doing our part in reducing our carbon emissions and going towards more sustainable uses of energy. And I'm bringing these forward right now to the district because I want you to all start thinking about what kind of things we can improve on. And as SGB, once again, we'll continue to discuss this, but I really want to kind of bring this up because we all kind of collectively have pushed out so many great ideas, and I really want the district to focus on these things.
That's all. Thank you for such a great report. I was wondering any board member has any comments. If not, then we move on to 8.01. The superintendent and board members may request that items be considered, discussed, and act on out of the order indicated on the agenda as per schedule. We already moved 11.02, so I don't think any other item would be act on out of order. So we move to 8.02, discussion and action to approve Spartan Eastside Promise MOU between Eastside Union High School District and San Jose State University in support by the Eastside Alliance. Mr. Superintendent, Vandersey.
Yeah, I'm pretty excited to bring this forward this evening. What we have before us for bringing toward you tonight for approval is a memorandum of understanding between the Eastside Union High School District and San Jose State University. And this is a powerful MOU. It's powerful in a partnership with a university that's in our neighborhood. It's powerful in that they're not just being accepted to a university, but they'll be accepted into a university. And what I mean by that is San Jose State has developed the connective tissue to reach out to our students, to onboard them, to help them through the registration process, giving them GPA bumps to get into the different colleges and making sure that there's people as they enter the college, that people are looking out for them to ensure their success. It is completely unique, a relationship. I believe the only other relationship like I know is in California is with Long Beach State and Long Beach. So tonight what we have is the Spartan Eastside Promise to continue for 5 more years. They are honoring this year and would like to extend it for another 5 years. And for everyone listening, essentially it means this: if our students meet the A through G requirements with a GPA of 2.75, they're in. If we go back to SAT testing, then SAT scores, which you can see on the wall, will be considered for entrance, but they haven't not made that determination yet as to whether SAT scores are coming back or not. But essentially what this does is this allows, you know, all the college stress and where am I going to go and what I'm going to have to do for our students to know that you have a guaranteed option, that if you meet the A through G requirements with this GPA or in the future this SAT, that you're admitted. And if you've got a 3.6 and there's a College of Computer Science that requires a 3.8, once you're accepted, you get a 0.25 GPA boost. So that 3.6 becomes a 3.85 for consideration into schools of study. So this is really a relationship that of a university in partnering with us in our neighborhood to make sure that East Side students know do high school well and college waits for you. Along as part of this MOU is some agreements that we'll make about making sure working with FAFSA and financial aid. We agree to making sure that our students get there for an orientation, and we agree to meet twice a year to just continue to rethink the program and to see how it's going. And I can't thank our partners at San Jose State. I can't thank the Eastside Education Foundation and their work in putting this all together and their desire to create a scholarship program along with it to help our students with the finances. So we have here, I think, a real model for how school districts and our universities can really function as a system. I don't want to call it grade 13. A lot of colleges are calling the sophomores that came back from distance learning freshmores because they're having to learn a lot even in their first year at university. But this is just something that we should be really loud and proud about as a district. This is one of those things that is a common assurance. When we talk about having a common assurance for a student and a common assurance towards a clear pathway to our university study, this is it. So we bring this MOU for your approval and to continue working with the San Jose State to see it all the way through.
I believe this is, yeah, you move for approval, Mr. Guerrero, and second by Board Member Doe. Let's ask Paula, how do you vote?
I first wanted to make a quick comment. As a senior applying to college, knowing that this is a thing is so like relieving. It's like knowing that this is an option for so many students. And so I just wanted to say that. And I know so many of my peers feel the exact same way. So it's a strong yes for me.
And I just want to say, I'm not going to pontificate about this. I'm in awe, honestly, to think about having this for our students. And thank you, Mr. Vanderzee, and your predecessor for negotiating this and for the visionaries at San Jose State. It's amazing.
Right. And just if I can add, we have 604 this year who entered the San Jose State through that program.
This past year?
Currently.
Correct.
Right now,
they're freshmen?
there's
Freshmen at San
604
Jose State.
freshmen in San Jose State thanks to this. And we just want to see that number grow.
Yes.
Yeah, that's awesome because I remember a couple years ago, it's even though my niece and nephew try to get into San Jose State and they have to be on a waiting list. And now with this partnership, MOU, our students get better opportunity to enter into San Jose State, and have to wait on a waiting list like other students. So I really like this MOU, and thank you, San Jose State, as well as our administrator and staff have been working so hard to bring this Spartan East Side promise into East Side. So we have the motion, and I'll ask all in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
All right. We pass unanimously and move to item 8.03, presentation and discussion regarding the bond program update. Glenn Vanderzee, Superintendent, and Ron Willihan, Interim Associate Superintendent of Business Service, Julio Lucas, Senior Manager of the bond program. Please take it away.
And Julio, as you come up, whenever you want me to turn the page, you can just give me a fake click and I'll.
Thank you very much, Julio Lucas, Senior Manager of the Bond Program, and I'm happy to be here with you today and discuss where we're at with projects that we recently completed during COVID, projects that are in development now, and projects that are in the early stages of planning. Let's go ahead. Thank you. So we're going to cover bond program overview, recent projects like I mentioned, and Glenn, if you could go to the next slide, please. So this slide's here to help if the conversation goes, needs it, to talk about the history of some of the bonds that Eastside has had. Right now, we're primarily using Measure Z, and Measure Z is what we're going to show. And coming up next slide, please, Glenn. The next one again, please. So this is the adult transition building, which is in the front of the Ed Center. Again, this was recently completed and is in full use. From the minute it broke ground, it happened during COVID. Let's see. It had a budget of $7 million and again, was occupied in January 2021. And at any time during this presentation, if there's anything you'd like me to focus in on any of these, more than glad to do that. Next slide, please. So this is a project at Mount Pleasant. It's another front to the campus, and this is off of the Rocky Mountain entrance, which is the side, technically the side of the campus, but it provides a proper gateway to the campus for where a large part of the population comes into the site. In addition to this, we've put along, there's about 50 homes along that side of the property. We redid the fence that was there, that it was the original neighbor fence, the original east side fence. And as you could imagine, over this amount of time, that's gone different ways for different homes. We have now, if you go there, I encourage you to go there, there's an entirely new fence along that entire stretch from the football field to the front of the campus. Again, a really amazing outcome there. Next slide, please, Glenn. Santa Teresa High School. This is our first attempt at doing synthetic fields beyond a football field. So this is a new soccer field, which their school site council saw as a priority in prioritizing their site allocation. Not that long before that, we completed the football field. And let's see if I can get this pointer to work. So in the foreground here is the football field, the synthetic field that was done here pre-COVID. This is the football field, very similar to the football fields we have at all of our campuses. This is the new asset here. This is a new soccer field that's also used by Santa Teresa Band. And again, looking at synthetic turf beyond our football fields. Next slide, please. So this is an exciting project, and these three pictures don't do it justice, I think. It's the new building at Overfelt. It's the administration, it's music, and thank you, and the arts. And again, I'd say 85–90% of it done during COVID. And I'm looking forward to a time when we're all comfortable being there to have some type of formal opening. I think this is a project that deserves that kind of attention, and I'm looking forward to working with Vito and the superintendent on that in the very near future. Next slide. So here's where it gets exciting, and we talk about things we're actively working on. Andrew Hill High School. So this slide's meant to just show the edges of the property. This is building 100, 2, 3, 4. The admin building is here. The existing multipurpose here. And what we've done is taken this, better watch my hand here, taken this area here and turned it into what will become the Andrew Hill Student Union. Let's go to the next slide, Glenn. And right here is where that admin building was. And I'm sure at one time or another, you've been to the admin building at Andrew Hill. That entire admin team has moved into the 2-story at the corner of the property, building C. And happy to say that they're comfortably housed in their temp location. As we get further down this slideshow, we have other admin teams that have been displaced by construction, and I think they're still okay with the promise of what's to come, but they're under a more constrained condition. And when we get to Evergreen, I'll show you what I mean. This is another thing that's coming up here. This is where the old library was at Andrew Hill, and we've recreated it into a music classroom when we displaced the music classroom that was in the multipurpose. Let's go ahead. So Evergreen High School. Right here, this building here, Cougar Hall, and this building here, the library of Evergreen, are now joined together with the building that bridges the two. In addition to that, there was an exterior breezeway right here. And this building, right about where my red dot is, and this building here are also joined together. And that breezeway is no longer there, and that becomes an interior space. So when it's all said and done, this building here, E1, this building here, E2, Cougar Hall, and then this building here, which is the library, are all under one roof, one environment, very similar to the outcome that you might have seen at your Buena High School. Now, to do all that, and speaking about displacement and the pains people go through to be out of the way of this, but still hold an active campus, we have had to place everybody in the front building on Quimby, building D. But this is Cougar Hall, completely empty. These are other spaces in the building that are, again, just a shell at this point. We're currently working through our underground utilities and our in-wall utilities like electrical and fire sprinklers as we develop. And let's see, I have a date here for you. We're looking at November of 2022 for completion. Go to the next slide, please. So Independence High School. This is Jackson right here. And over here is the music building, which will also take on where the new student union will be as well. So if we go to the next slide. Again, this much larger footprint than what I was pointing at has in purple a music department component, a food service component, a place for people to enjoy the food that they receive from the servery here, and then administration, a learning center, and a way to get to the front of the campus into this, again, student union environment. And we're looking at a completion for that in June of 2023. So these projects are actively in construction at Evergreen and Andrew Hill. This project where I'm just showing a 3D rendering and the graphic there, it is still with the state. Once it comes out of the state, which is the Division of the State Architect, DSA, well, we will quickly begin the construction process. Next slide, please. So Silver Creek High School, earlier in the year, we did work at other buildings, J and building T. Building K is currently removed completely. Next slide. So this is T, this is J. The occupants of J are 3 art rooms, 3 art teachers. They are been moved in, they're comfortable with their new space. Building T is a general classroom building. Again, they've all moved in. Building K with the heavy equipment tearing into it is completely flat at this point, and we're working with our underground utilities for that. So again, lots of construction around East Side, and lots of people being kind enough to allow us to work during the school year, which is we've done in other years and works well. Next slide. So at Santa Teresa High School, at one point in time, we were looking at 4 portables that are right there. And these 4 portables on site were shared by other departments and the science department. And the idea was to remove these 4 portables and place a new building here in the grass area between the theater and this building here. In exploring that wasn't probably the best place to plan for, and we adjusted accordingly. And if you go to the next slide. I'll tell you what, I'll go back one more. Thank you. The new building will be placed here where there was an open grass area near the gym and the outdoor auditorium near the theater. And if we go forward again. And this is that new building, which will have an open environment here that is being used at this point as a makerspace. And then 4 classrooms that are science ready, meaning they can support science where they can support other programs as time is may need it to adjust. So this part is projects that are at the desk in the office or when we're meeting with sites to talk about what the details that will come forward. Go to the next slide, please. So at Foothill, the board recently approved improvements to this building, Building G. And in Building G, we're looking at doing some type of food service in collaboration, possibly with Career Tech, expanding on how food service might work with the students at Foothill. Let's go to the next slide. At Mount Pleasant, this is Building 500, and we're looking at removing Building 500 and putting in again a dining hall that's similar to what you've seen at other campuses and past successes we've had recently. Next slide, please. At Oak Grove, this is Building K. And at Building K, again, that's another space where we're looking to put a place where people can enjoy the food that they're eating in an indoor environment, very similar to what you've seen at other campuses, because it really has been a successful model. Other districts, other people have come to visit and really love showing it off. At Piedmont Hills High School, this is a new classroom building for the performing arts. It's going in an area just beyond this, what's been known in Piedmont's history as the Senior Glen. The area of the Senior Glen is still preserved, and the new building is specifically for the performing arts, which includes drama and the music department. At Yerba Buena, this is the Yerba Buena Theater. So we're familiar with this building. This is the student union. Across this grassway, there's a theater near the student parking lot. This theater, we're looking at removing the building in its entirety and in its footprint, putting a smaller format theater that will also have support classrooms for drama and the arts as well, similar to what we recently completed at Overfelt. And that's what's looking to support Yerba Buena. And let's go to the next slide. This one. So I mentioned Santa Teresa and I mentioned soccer and exploring ideas of going beyond artificial turf in football. And this is another example of using artificial turf in an area that gets a lot of traffic, high volume. And one of the unique things that was pointed out in the presentation was given by Mr. Wen, is that this creek creates this shortened triangular shape for Yerba Buena, which really compacts how much field space it has in comparison to other sites which are more rectilinear. Baseball, softball, soccer all take place in here. And the idea is from edge to edge for this to be synthetic turf. And we're currently in preparing what's called bridging documents to then solicit a design builder to propose on this job. In recent weeks, I've been to a softball field that's synthetic at West Valley College. There's a baseball field that's coming into West Valley College that's synthetic as well. I believe I was told Valley Christian is synthetic. And then I've also visited the baseball fields that are being built near Eastridge, not synthetic, but just getting good hints and tips from that as well. And just trying to use the best of what's around us and make ours like, if not better. Next slide, please. Questions? Okay.
Wow. Thank you, Julio Lucas, for the presentation on of this new project in our schools. But I know that I like to look into, like the Overfell, the new building that we already complete the project, but we didn't have a chance to have ribbon cutting, or we weren't talking about when the school started. So I think we probably gonna do something and inspire others, to look into how they look into their school site and be proud of the new projects.
We'll definitely schedule that. I do want you to be aware, Madam President, that there is written comment on this item.
All right, go ahead, Mr. Bandasi.
Public comment from parent Kevin Larson regarding bond program update, November 18, 2021 by Julio Lucas. As a parent, I am saddened that ESUHSD paid monies to build a Mount Pleasant ornamental gate when those monies would be better spent towards building wellness center, study room, and tutor area building, STEM buildings, and more. I ask Julio Lucas to state how much the gate costs. Kevin Larson, parent and community helper. No more public comment on this item.
Thank you, Mary, for reading the public comments. Mr. Lucas, do you have an answer? Or no?
Yeah, so again, along that, there were nearly 50 homes between the football field and the front of the property, and that entire fence was redone. I think that's nearly half a mile. And then in addition to that, that new gate, I think we spent, we got that for about $480,000.
All right.
Mhm.
Thank you. Any question from the board?
I don't have questions. I just have
Sure.
comments.
Yeah, go ahead.
Like some of these buildings are so beautiful. The Silver Creek, well, yeah, YB, too, obviously YB. For the record, I am a warrior. No, but I remember walking through Silver Creek's art building,
Oh, yeah.
and like the orange piece of it just really makes it stand out in the tiles. I was like, wow, Julio, can you come and decorate my house?
What's that?
I was joking. I was like, can you come and decorate my house?
Sure, yeah. No, we work with some really good people and you know, time, if you think of it just as a surface thing that's equal is you know, though I could say they invested a lot of time, like in length, but I think it's different in that they have invested a lot of deep time to make the outcome feel more value. And that's what I hope for all these jobs and the team does as well.
Oh, yeah, you could feel it because, you know, our commitment, equitable communities, we welcome students as they are. And part of welcoming them is the space, the environment that they're in, right? And having these beautiful spaces, like, yeah, it's showing it immediately from the moment, even before you walk into the school site, it's seeing it and starting to feel like, I am welcome here, right? Same thing with the gate out Mount Pleasant. I remember, Marta, when you were there was the very beginning stages, and now it's starting to take form and you see more color and you see the art. And it's just so beautiful. And so I just wanted to, you know, take a moment to celebrate you and thank you and your team for all the amazing work that you're doing in your part and welcoming our students in the community as they are. So thank you.
Thank you.
Go ahead,
Thank you.
Brian. No.
Keep up the good work.
All right.
Thank you.
Any other questions or comments? And I think this is a good, presentation. I was wondering about, because some school has 2-story classroom building, some don't. And I was wondering that any restriction for, each school district, or how do you look into, we can save more space for the classroom, then we move it to the other area.
Yeah, so K-12 schools are allowed to go up to 3 stories.
Yes.
Yes, we have some that are 2 stories. Those decisions, I'm sure, were made to save ground space.
Right.
I will say this, I know from my friends in maintenance and operations that maintaining elevators, I think there's about 40 things in the district that identify as a state licensed elevator, whether it's a lift at a stage, a dumbwaiter that moves books up, or an elevator that I would both point at and say, okay, that's an elevator. And I know managing all those elevators is quite a task. So when we plan buildings, keeping that in mind and trying to stay at ground level, or like we did at Piedmont, where we have a 2-story building without an elevator, are important things to consider in planning. In planning, not just planning for now, but planning for the longevity of the site.
Longevity.
How can
Absolutely.
we have a two-story building without an elevator?
We built against a 7-foot slope.
Ah, got it.
So in
Okay.
leveraging the 7-foot slope, we have a 2-story building without an, that's a great question. Yeah.
That's true. I have another things in my mind that I know each school site has their own priority and needs. But I know that we have been remodeling, and some of the school has a student union, some other didn't, and some of them have a cafeteria. And I was wondering that some school did not have a cafeteria, and I was, some student gonna have to eat outside during the rain or during, the heat, wave. So are we really supporting for any idea, for all of the school? We want to see, we still respect the decision of the priority,
Mhm.
but I looking to beyond, what the district want to see. Others school will probably have kind of, some way to support, the student when the student from this school will go to the other school and say, how could I, how our school didn't have this, and how school didn't have the other one. So that's my thing, is I just want to look into that.
Yes, we can definitely do that. And as you said, our model today, it's been a successful model for the most part here, has been to take those suggestions from the grassroots site level
Right.
as to how they would like to prioritize what the board has given them as a site allocation. That's right.
Right, thank you. All right, so we just the presentation and discussion, we don't need to have action to approve it. So we move to 9.01. Public hearing. We now hold a public hearing, which is scheduled approximately 6:44 regarding the Educator Effectiveness Fund. Calling for public speaker first time. Calling for public speaker second time. Calling for public speaker a third time. Public testimony on this matter is now closed. Okay, now we move to 9.02. Presentation and discussion regarding Educator Effectiveness Fund. Ms. Marta Guerrero, Director of Instruction.
Good evening, members of the Board of Trustees, Superintendent Vanderzee. My name is Marta Guerrero. I'm the Director of Instructional Services, and I'm here to present our district's plan for the Educator Effectiveness Block Grant funds that we will be receiving. We're going to start our presentation with the commitment and the promise we have made to our community that their children will graduate college and career ready, and that when they graduate and they leave us with a diploma in their hand, they will graduate with the skills to be communicators, critical thinkers, collaborators, creators, involved community members, and that they will have a plan for the future. As a district, we have committed to do this by building equitable communities. Today, I'm not going to focus on the second part of our building community statement, but on the first part, because it's in alignment with the goals of the Educator Effectiveness Block Grant. As a district, we are committed to building capacity amongst all staff members to ensure that equity and inclusion are essential principles of our school system. It is with this commitment in mind that we were able to write the block grant. The Educator Effectiveness Block Grant is one-time funding that has been given to school districts to provide professional learning for teachers, administrators, paraprofessionals, and classified staff in order to promote equity, quality, and effectiveness. So there is some alignment with the language from our equitable community statement. It is part of Ed Code and has been amended and given funds through a couple of different assembly bills. The state of California has put aside $1.5 million for the Educator Effectiveness Grant and has allocated our district a little bit over $4.1 million that should be expended starting with this school year through 2026. So we have been given 5 years to use these funds. Our plan for the Educator Effectiveness Grant is in alignment with the goals of our local control accountability plan, with the expanded learning opportunities plan and our ESSER plan. It is a living document that addresses our system responses, but this time in relation to the needs of the learning of our staff. And it clearly outlines our commitment to build capacity for our staff. It is also in alignment, and it is expected, part of the language is that when we write the plan, that it be in alignment with our federal grant, Title II grant, which is around also professional development. Next slide. There are 10 key areas of focus that a district could choose to write the plan around. They're listed in the next 2 slides, but I'm not going to read them to you. I'm just going to highlight the main points. So these 10 key areas of focus are around effective standards aligned instruction, around coaching and mentoring, around re-engaging pupils and accelerating learning, around the implementation of practices to address the social emotional needs of our students, around creating positive climate culture, around improving inclusive practices for all students, but in particular for our students with disabilities, around language acquisition programs for our English learners, around creating professional learning networks for our staff. It addresses the upcoming requirement around ethnic studies. And the 10th key area of focus is for childhood education, which does not pertain to our district. Next slide. The fiscal requirements are that we need to adopt a plan before December 30th. So today we have the first hearing, and on December 14th, the plan will come up for a vote before you. And the second requirement is that before September 2026, we should write a detailed explanation of how we spent the funds that were given to our district. To write the plan, we requested staff input. A survey went out to all certificated and classified staff. We received 185 responses, 111 of them from certificated staff, 19 paraeducators, 7 administrators, and 48 other staff who did not check the role that they play in the district. The areas of focus that they thought were important were around strategies to engage students, strategies to implement social emotional learning, programs that lead to effective and improved instruction, practices to promote positive school culture, coaching and mentoring, and strategies to improve inclusive practices. Due to the quick turnaround time that we had, we were not able to hold any kind of hearings. It was community forums. It was not a requirement. However, to ensure that our community had input also in the creation of the plan, we reviewed the input from the various community forums that Ms. Marquez held for the LCAP, the ELO, and the ESSER plans. And it was by putting all of this together that we have a series of activities to expend the funds from the Educator Effectiveness Block Grant. Around coaching and mentoring, we have support for administrators, for beginning teachers, and for our interns. Around the areas of standards aligned instruction and re-engagement and acceleration is the work around prioritizing standards, unpacking the standards, creating curriculum maps, and overall addressing the teaching and the learning in our district. Under strategies to improve student well-being, we're addressing practices to create a positive school culture and inclusive practices. We're addressing the professional development for all staff around trauma-informed care, compassion fatigue, culturally responsive teaching, a return to complete our implicit bias training for staff, and universal design for learning training for all staff. For supporting professional learning networks, we are looking to support teachers from non-high priority schools like Evergreen, Independence, Oak Grove, Silver Creek, Santa Teresa, and Piedmont, if they're interested in pursuing their national board certification. The state of California already provides a subsidy for teachers in high priority schools, but we would like to also support those teachers in non-high priority schools. We're interested in supporting classified staff who are interested in becoming teachers, and then also provide professional development that we know is coming after the review of the English learner program in our district. We also have some money set aside for the professional development that will be needed once we are ready with that first group of students who will need the ethnic studies course in order to receive a graduation diploma. So we are recommending as staff the approval of the Educator Effectiveness Block Grant.
Awesome. Thank you. Thank you for, is this something that we just sought out and applied for? Is that how we got this, or? That we
No,
just-
it was part of AB 130, and we just had not received the information as to when we were ready to apply, when we had to submit a plan. All this happened around the end of October. When we received notification that we needed to have a plan adopted by December the 30th. So that's what I meant by a quick turnaround.
This is this legislature, I'll tell you that.
So just,
yeah.
if I may, I would like to thank the team for, one, getting this, finding a way to quickly mesh it in with everything else we're doing, knowing that student voice and community voice is important, and seeing the quick timeline to go back to, there's nothing that it's asking for that we haven't previously said we want to go after, right? So just synthesizing that to find something that makes sense. And just to remind you, this is 4 million over 5 years, which is about 800,000 a year. It's not 20 million. I don't want you to do the math in that direction.
Yeah, not chump change at all.
All right.
That's awesome.
Thanks
Yeah.
again to the team.
Yeah, really. Yeah, incredible. Yeah, I will move to approve.
Marta, I have a question. Yeah, I have a question. Why do we have only 6 high school that has listed as a high priority school? I was wondering who make that decision, and how do we come up, with this 6 school?
So recently, the state of California has set aside $2,500 to support teachers from high priority schools to cover some of the expenditures that come with becoming nationally board certified. And the 6 schools you mentioned here do not qualify for those $2,500 because they're not high priority schools. And we had received, even before knowing about the subsidy from the state of California, we had received inquiries from teachers who were interested in national board certification. So this is a way to equal and level the playing field so that all our teachers are able to receive either the subsidy from the state of California or a similar subsidy of $2,500 from our district.
Absolutely. I like that idea to be equal, share that grant. Any other question from the board? Board Member Chavez, go ahead, please.
Always, ¿verdad? Sorry, Marta.
That's all right.
Without fail. This gives me joy and energy. This is why we're here, right? No, this just, when I think about how to ensure that our students are set up to be successful, to have options, to have different pathways, that first part of our commitment is, to build the capacity. I cannot stress how much power there is there and how that is the starting point, right? So seeing this like fleshed out more on what it looks like yes, yes. And I've probably been talking Glenn's ear a little too much. I'm like, let's be proactive. Let's be proactive. Like there has to be a balance in us like responding to what's happening right now, which it's very clear there's a lot of stuff here. And, my mind goes to coaching, right? I remember when we had the presentation of our MTSS coordinators, right? That's their title.
MTSS TOSAS.
Sorry, teachers on special assignment. They coach in many ways, right? When they were talking about the tools, that's coaching, right? And when I see coaching and mentoring here, I'm like, is there a way to do a little bit more? Another strand, I don't know, something to think about, right? Because these are really important buckets, right? For different folks in different places. And maybe it is with the MTSS work that's happening at each site where the administrators in conjunction with the district decide, all right, this is going to be our biggest bet, right? Or low hanging fruit or whatnot. But there's so much power in that. And I don't know if how y'all are thinking about it is through these practices, these strategies, like somebody has to deliver that. So who is it? Is it them? Is it somebody else? But I just know that that's top of heart for me, making sure that our district is really set up in that way.
Some of the trainers will be in-house, but we will also be bringing some experts to support us in the work because some of this stuff is new to us, like under universal design for learning, culturally responsive teaching. We do have a lot of expertise within the district around trauma-informed practices. In fact, we've had staff who have gone through training to become trainers themselves in the areas of trauma.
Okay, great. Thank you. Thank you for all of this work. It's very clear that it was very, very thoughtful.
I also comment that, this presentation is very comprehensive, and thank you for the work. And I really interested on the instruction, education, and strategy to incorporate ethnic study curriculum. And I know that our board will have a study session in January. And I was, probably will learn a little bit more about professional development for teacher, ethnic study courses. And is it, do we have the ethnic study courses in our district now for particular, I heard that it's maybe 1 or 2 schools, but I think we will implement it district-wide probably maybe a year from now. Am I correct?
We have an ethnic studies course that's offered at multiple high schools. It was approved by our instructional policies committee. We have not yet created the committee that's going to review the requirements from the state and ensure that every one of those, the criteria that the state has given us aligns directly. But that will be work that will be done relatively soon.
Absolutely. Great, thank you. I think I'm going to ask student representative Paula, how do you vote and what is your comments?
Yeah, my comment is definitely the focus, like supporting the focus of ethnic studies, because I just saw that was something that Csba has pushed for so long. And then seeing it kind of like culminate into reality last year was something so kind of inspiring for so many students and community members, right? And so now with like this being proposed in order to make that a reality and like kind of push our goal forward is really great to see. I know so many students have been really empowered by taking the ethnic studies course. Like this has been really like such a great, like monumental part of what we want our school climates to be. And so the fact that this is going to be like introduced and implemented in a larger scale, I think is so great. And so with that, yes, I was yes.
Great. I think this item was moved by board member Cortese and second by Board Member Doe. All in favor, please say aye.
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 All right, the item 9.02 passed unanimously. Thank you. Yeah, Marta Guerrero. So we move to item 10, 10.01, public member who wish to address the board.
There is written public comment.
We have public comment submitted by Kevin Larson, parent. I am happy that ESUHSD hired a new business services person. I could not find him on the ESUHSD website. Later, I found his name tucked under superintendent. I request this be changed and ESUHSD made a pull tab that says departments. I have also a complaint that the current superintendent is not responsive to parent requests. For example, I wrote him long ago that I wanted to be on the email for the Bond Citizen Oversight Committee and never got a response back. That is the end of public comment under 10.01.
Thank you, Mary, for reading public comment. And this is an agendized item, so no response is required from the board district staff and no action can be taken. But however, the board might instruct the superintendent to agendize the item for a future meeting.
But just for the general information of the public, the Citizen Bond Oversight Committee is an autonomous body. It's not a body of the superintendent or of the Board of Trustees or of the district. It's completely legally autonomous.
Thank you, Board Vice President Herrera. All right, no other public comments, then we move to 11.01. Presentation, information, discussion, and action regarding update on novel coronavirus, COVID-19, adopt resolution number 2021/2022-13, authorizing remote teleconference meeting through January 5th, 2022. Mr. Superintendent Glenda Vanderzee, please take it over.
So tonight we'll review some of our data and then we will present the resolution for our virtual hearings as that plan of space will commence before our next board meeting. So tonight we'll look at dashboard and the vaccination, our vaccine status, and rules for mega events. And I can only think about two events historically that perhaps maybe, one that's planned for this year, but two in past years that it might qualify for. So let's go ahead and start looking at the data. What this data is this is the county's 7-day rolling average of new cases in our county. And you remember that we started to experience a rise and it went down. Then again at the start of or mid-October, it started to kind of just tick back up. And so 2 weeks ago, that number that we see here at 167 was at 164. So not a big change, but we are seeing an uptick. What we aren't seeing is a rise in hospitalizations due to these new cases. And so that's really what people are tracking right now to see if someone is testing positive, whether it leads to a COVID-related hospitalization. So we're keeping our eyes on both of those numbers. What we also want to share with you always is just the efforts towards vaccination. And last time we talked about the fact, and I'm going to just jump down a slide for the good of our families here. All our families just know that that vaccination is now available for children ages 5 and up. So encourage all of our families to go and seek that vaccination for their students. And so we're starting to see now new numbers that weren't present before. So we now have the percent of residents ages 5 and up, and we're already at 81.5%, which is great. And we love to see that ages 12 and up, which had previously been available. We got excited when it got to that 80% mark, and we're right now as a county at 89.8. So really looking to get over a 90%. And then you can see that another new set of data is the number of residents who's gotten their booster. And I know a few of you have got stuck and suffered the next day, and some of you ran strong and fantastic and had no side effects, but thanks for everybody who's getting that booster. You can see that our numbers are going up across the state. All the public to know is we do have our COVID dashboard always open. This is a 10-day rolling a number of cases. So not an average, but just this is the cases over the last 10 days. So of staff, we can see that we've had 3 positive cases in the last 10 days, and with students, our level of 4. In our adult ed program, again, 0 and 0. So that's as a district of over 24,000 individuals, 7 total cases of positivity. I want to just repeat this public health order that was issued in August and encourage our staff to make sure that they verify their vaccination status. And as of today, and I apologize on the date, it says November 3rd. So as of November 14, they're 83.7%. Starting December 1st, and this is not targeted for schools, but this is just comes out from the Department of Public Health, is that starting on December 1st, there'll be new rules for what's called a mega event. And a mega event is for crowds greater than 1,000 indoors, and I believe the language is specific to 18 and over, but in terms of some of these mega events, and then also crowds outside of 10,000 and more. When we say greater than 1,000 or greater than 10,000, there is no cap on that. So it doesn't mean you have to limit your indoor activity to just 1,000, but if you're at a Warrior game and you see 13,000 people there, they would, they're definitely going to have to be complying as a mega event of a crowd greater than 1,000. And essentially what this means as of December 1st is that folk 18 and older will have to demonstrate either their verification or something that's now called pre-testing. And pre-testing is that you demonstrate that you, within a 17-hour window, can demonstrate that you tested negative for COVID to attend that event before entry. There's really little changes in terms of physical distancing. Masking is still the same. There's no specific information for travelers at this point, but just to encourage to be vaccinated and not to travel unless you're vaccinated, and also to be able to just be mindful of what conditions exist to where you're going, and they recommend testing upon return. But I just wanted to make sure if there's those schools that are planning for end of year celebrations that might qualify, if they're in the San Jose Convention Center or something like that for graduation at a large school, that this should be part of their thinking now in terms of planning and whether they want to rethink to an outside event or make sure that they get the communication out to families early about the indoor vaccination or pre-testing requirements for entry. As always, we'll continue to monitor the data and the response, and we're really want to thank our community for the levels that we see, the low levels of positivity and transmission that we see. We'll continue to follow up with staff on verification and testing, and we'll continue to monitor and prepare for the student vaccination when we take action on that. Other action for this evening is that's just information, but the action that we're asking for you to approve resolution 21-22-113, and this is again the resolution authorizing remote teleconference meetings of the board and district committees subject to the Brown Act for the period of December 7 to January 5.
Any board member has any question? If not, then we need a motion.
I'll move to approve the resolution as stated.
Okay, Paula, how do you vote?
I approve.
Thank you. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Item 11.01 passed unanimously. Okay, we move to 11.03, discussion and action regarding nomination to CSBA Delegate Assembly. Mr. Superintendent.
Yes, thank you. So as you know, there is the California School Boards Association Delegate Assembly, and that's a body that we've all been working with and have close relationships and I've often served on. And I believe that there are 4 members on that committee or assembly that are terming out. There'll be 4 members that are terming out. And so tonight, or by January 7, Board members have the opportunity to nominate and submit their nomination and application and supporting materials for someone that you would all, if you all from the area or from this board would want to nominate a local board member for consideration on that future election. There's no that we can find any limit on how many you can nominate, but there is a limit on the number of spots available. So you might want to be conscious of that as you decide how many to nominate.
Okay, Board Member Cotisi, go ahead.
I would like to nominate trustee Lorena Chavez.
Yes, I agree. Lorena Chavez, you are delegate now, but your term out, right? All right. Okay, I'm also on delegate for last time, so I still have a year and a half, I believe. Right. Okay, and I second with the nomination, but I don't know any other board member would like to nominate anyone else, but I think it's we just focus on our own. We have better chance.
We
to
nominate
win.
you again, Von Lay? Are you still?
No, I
You're
don't,
not up
it's
yet?
not up to, I'm still a
Okay.
delegate, so you don't have
Got
to
it.
nominate me. One nominate Patty. Patty, you like to be interested? Brian Doe, were you interested to be delegate? There's a lot of work.
You need to fill in the rest of your
So the-
calendar, the rest of your schedule.
Well, and to be clear, this is, these open positions are for the state. Okay, this is how many we have in the state? 4 open positions in the state? Within our region or within the
East
state?
region.
That's
It's California School Board Association, so it's a
Yes,
statewide
yeah.
organization.
Yes, School Board Association, yes, Region 20, right.
Okay, so Region 20 has 4 openings. And how many districts or what's the turf of Region 20? Do we have
There's a big district.
hundreds? Okay, so I would, personally, I would encourage us to just focus on nominating one, because then the risk is that we dilute, that's just my 2 cents.
All right, so we only nominate Board Member Chavez and yes,
So we will work with you in getting your 1-page bio and your optional resume for submittal before January 7th.
right, I think
go.
that's good. You're welcome, and I think we already have a motion from Board Member. Yeah, I'm second. And Paula, how do you vote?
I vote yes.
All right, thank you. All in favor, please say aye. Aye. All right, the item 11.03 passed unanimously. Move to 12.01, discussion and action regarding advanced placement human geography, added as a course title for meeting the world history ESUHSD graduation requirement. Ms. Marta Guerrero, Director of Instruction, please take it away.
Hello again, Marta Guerrero, Director of Instructional Services. I'm here on behalf of the Instructional Policies Committee. Joining me via Zoom is Susan J., the Social Studies Curriculum Coordinator. And although she's not presenting tonight, she is there in case you have any specific questions about the course. So the recommendation I'm bringing forth is for a course we offer currently in our district, AP Human Geography, to be considered as a course that meets the world history requirement for our district. As you know, we have a 3-year social studies requirement for graduation, 1 year of world history, 1 year of US history, and a year of American government/economics. AP Human Geography is considered currently a world history course by the universities, by the UC system and the CSU system. One of our high schools contacted Ms. J with a proposal to for us to adopt AP Human Geography as a world history course. Currently, only the course titled World History counts as a world history requirement. And they presented their case to the social studies coordinator. The social studies coordinator took their proposal to the curriculum committee, the social studies curriculum committee, who had an opportunity to review the proposal, compare the courses, and ensure that they are similar. And in some ways, the AP Human Geography course extends the learning of the students in a way that the World History course may not, because it is an AP course. The Social Studies Curriculum Committee voted to recommend that IPC consider it for approval. This recommendation was taken to IPC, the Instructional Policies Committee, which is made up of representatives from teachers from each of the schools and an administrator from each of the schools. The subject area coordinators are also members. There was a vote, and after the discussion, and it is their recommendation to approve AP Human Geography as a course that meets graduation requirement when taken in the 9th and 10th grade year. World History is normally taken in 10th grade. In some schools, maybe in the 9th grade. And so we would like to extend this same treatment to AP US History as a 9th and 10th grade course to meet the graduation requirement for World History.
What's not to like about a course called AP Hug?
Right?
I move to approve.
Second.
Well, I have a question. So was there a counter perspective that in any way didn't support this recommendation? And if so, what was that based on?
No,
So there's full agreement.
there was a question as to whether, I think at the beginning, during the meeting, around 9th graders, right? 9th graders taking an AP course. And as part of the conversation, there were teachers there present who reminded us that currently at Oak Grove, Independence, and Overfelt, 9th graders are enrolled in AP Hug. So that was, I think, the only concern, whether or not it should be in the 9th
Why I
grade.
ask is over the years that I've been on the board, when something seems in complete agreement or alignment or consensus, and then some day or week down the road, somebody corners me and gets me in a conversation and presents, a whole other way of framing it, interpreting it, disagreed with what was done, blah, 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 blah. And so I was just probing to see if any of that was trailing in there somewhere.
And I think that's one of the beauties, I would say, of our Instructional Policies Committee, that we have one teacher representative from every one of the schools. We have an administrator from every one of the schools. We have subject area representation, and we also have the ESTA curriculum representative as part of the committee. So different voices, different perspectives are present during these conversations.
And student voice too, no?
Yes, we do. We have student voice. Paula Escobar is our representative.
Awesome.
Madam President, I do want you to be aware that there is written public comment on this item.
Yes.
Public comment by parent Kevin Larson. If a mandated new class is to be added, what grade level will begin this new requirement? Also, I think as a parent, this requirement should only begin with incoming freshmen. That is the end of public comment on this item.
Yeah, Board Member Doe.
If a student was to take this class and did not perform well, but was to pass the AP exam at the end of the year, do we still give the student the credit for the class?
The student, it's a course, it's a class, and they need an A, B, C, or D to pass. So if the student were to receive a grade of an A, B, C, or D, then they have met the graduation requirement, which is equivalent to what happens when a student takes a world history class. If they pass it with a grade of an A, B, C, or D, then they receive credit for the class and they meet the requirement.
Let's say they do not do well in class, but they do well at the exams, the AP exam, the actual AP exam. Do we then give them some credit for the AG?
Currently, we do not have a policy that is something teachers do. School by schools, teacher by teacher, sometimes teachers determine that they would like to address the grade because of the results of the AP exam, but we do not have a policy that a grade be changed because an AP exam was passed. the grade belongs to the teacher. So the teacher is the one that determines the grade for the class.
Any other question? All right. Paula, how do you vote?
I actually did have one clarifying question. So does this mean like freshmen can take it? Because I remember like always like hearing about AP Human Geography offered in other districts. And I like love social science, my favorite subject. And I really wish I was able to take it like all 4 years. So I'm wondering like, is it offered freshman year?
Currently, AP Human Geography is offered, I think, a total of 4 schools, and at 3 of them, 9th graders are able to take it right now. It just does not count towards their world history graduation requirement.
Okay, got it. Thank you for clarifying. And with that, I vote yes.
Do we have to answer the public comment from Mr. Calvin Larson? No? Oh, okay. All right. And all in favor, please say aye. Aye.
Aye.
Mary, did you get the vote? All right. Thank you, Mary. Right, the item 12.01 passed unanimously. Thank you, Marta Guerrero. So we move on to 12.02, so you stay right there. Discussion and action to approve school field trips. Marta, please take it away.
As is our practice this year, because of the pandemic and because of the ever-changing guidelines, I present to you a request for a field trip. It is from the Santa Teresa Model UN Club. They were here at the last board meeting. They are requesting to attend a conference, a Model UN conference at UC Berkeley. It is a 3-day conference, which means that they will be staying overnight at a hotel for 2 nights. And so I bring that request to you for discussion and for consideration.
Any question from the board? Have any other questions?
This is an amazing program and I don't want to get in their way. So I would definitely move to support this.
I'm always in support of educational experiences for students. I mean, administration, we feel really confident about this.
It's being brought to you for consideration. Currently, our rule is no overnight trips, no out of state. There was some discussion about us looking to see if there's a spike in December before approving anything past that. But this request did come in. So we're putting it here if we want to take action tonight or delay action. That's dependent on the board. We could also take it conditionally.
The field trip is in March 4th through the March 6th.
Yeah, I think we need to keep a pulse on the cases to see how we're doing.
We can continue to work with the staff there and talk about just kind of their planning and when they would be able to continue to plan to make the event as we monitor the potential December spike.
Yeah, I'm supportive of these kinds of experiences, and I think we should try to do everything we can to, not just for this situation, but in general for our students. I think it's a really important part of their education. And I think we also have to be really, really thoughtful and careful on how we support our students to stay safe as well. So I just think we need to be really on this. That's it.
Because there is planning involved, and I don't know, our next board meeting isn't until the middle of December. So I don't know by when do they need to commit? I mean, is it possible that we would be comfortable approving this with the requirement that, maybe all students be tested, the day before, or they all have vaccination, or, is there something we could do to mitigate our concerns so that they can go ahead and make the plans? Because I know there's a lot of planning that goes into these things.
Fair.
So I don't know if December 14th would be too late for them.
If I can jump in, I think the organization, Model United Nations, is confident enough to host this type of event. And I guess as additional mitigating element, what we can do is we can provide and train the staff chaperone in the rapid testing protocols that we have in place. And so they can have the test kits with them. And then if there's any kind of situation where they feel that they need it, then they can ensure the test with parents' permission.
Okay, maybe if we just add like the kids test negative before going out. Students.
Yeah,
And then we can.
yeah, I
just
think
do-
safety always the concern from, all of us. So, so the motion from Board Member Kotisi, would you want to add additional comments?
Yeah,
If I could,
to this?
go ahead. No,
the only concern I have on this is that that between now and December, that our December meeting, that they would lose out on the experience, and that later the board would make a different change, move away from the no overnight principle. Right? Otherwise, I think if we know that they can still plan to attend after that. So I guess what I would perhaps suggest is that you approve them planning for the activity. But still awaiting the board's decision as to whether or not it's going to lift the overnight and the out of state after looking at the December surge. And then they can make the determination of whether the funds, if money is involved, if they were going to lose out, or hotel planning, so that we can be honest with them that if we do see a December surge, we might come back and say, no, we're not comfortable with this. So approve to allow them to plan, but to be mindful that the overnight restriction might stay in place in the future.
but do they I wouldn't want them to be making deposits, that are not refundable and
That's why
things
we'll
like
have a
that.
very frank discussion with
Okay.
them regarding that, so that they're aware of the risks if we do keep the no overnight in place, if we do see a December spike. Because the recommendation from staff will be, if we don't see a spike, to remove those two conditions for the
Okay.
spring semester.
Just for additional information, they have paid for the registration, but that is refundable. They have not made any plans for the hotel.
I see.
I'll take the recommendation.
So the motion by Board Member Kotisi?
So Lorena just made a motion on Glenn's recommendation? Is that right?
I don't know if that was a formal motion. That was more of a comment.
Okay.
But I'm open to making a motion. I think you have a motion on the floor, though. I don't know if that's like,
Well, I will amend my motion I don't know if amend means add, but I will change my motion to support the administration's recommendation
Yes.
about that the club may plan on attending and that the board will revisit following, keep with being mindful of the anticipated December spike that hopefully does not manifest.
Okay.
Wait a second. Oh, sorry.
All right.
Madam President, you get to say that.
second.
So,
Yeah.
okay. So Board Member Kotisi have a motion, and Board Member Lorena Chavez second. Paula, how do you vote?
I vote yes.
Okay, and all in favor, please say aye.
Hi.
Aye.
Mary, you do have the motion from Board Member Kotesi, right? And we will have to be mindful and maybe revisit, after the holidays. All right.
Thank you.
Thank you. All right, move to item 13.01. Discussion and action to approve the emergency one-day closure for Silver Creek High School on Friday, October 22nd, 2021, due to PG&E power outage. Mr. Ron Willihan, Interim Associate Superintendent of Business Services. Yes.
Good evening, board members and members of the public. This is a form that goes to the State Department of Ed regarding the dismissal of the students and the minutes that weren't accumulated on October 22nd due to the power outage at Silver Creek. It was decided to send the students home for their safety, with the HVAC being out, safety systems being out, security systems, as well as the internet.
All right, thank you. I need a motion.
Second.
Okay, Paula, how do you vote?
I vote yes.
Thank you. All in favor, please say aye.
Hi.
Aye.
Aye.
The item 13.01 passed unanimously. Move to 13.02, discussion and action to approve the contracts for professional services over 25,000.
Move to approve.
Paula, how do you vote?
I vote yes.
Thank you. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Item 13.02 passed unanimously. Move to 14.01. Discussion and action to approve the proposed salary range adjustment for the classified management position of payroll supervisor.
Move for approval.
We do have one public speaker from Julio Pardo, president of CSCA. Please come up to the podium before we move. Yeah, please. 5 minutes. Go ahead.
Julio Pardo, President, Chapter 187 CSCA. So this item is upsetting to us in CSCA. We understand, actually, if this item had come up maybe anywhere between 11 and 14 years ago, we probably would have gone along with it. But in that time, a lot of these procedures that are defined, that are described in this position have been taken on by the classified people that are there now. And there is a problem in payroll. We all understand that. We have met with the district regarding this issue. Matter of fact, we met just within the last several days. And a proposal was given to us, which we didn't entirely agree with. We made a counter proposal, which was rejected out of hand. We came back the next day and made a second proposal to the district, hoping that maybe we can get something out of this. Maybe we can all agree so we can get this problem resolved. And again, it was not accepted, which is understandable. I mean, the district has a right to reject what CSCA proposes, and CSCA has a right to reject what the district proposes. The upsetting part about this is that now I read this proposal, and basically the reasons given for rejecting our original proposal are now being used to ask you to accept this proposal from the district. And that is upsetting when what we had suggested was rejected for a certain reason, and now that same reason is being used to ask you to accept this proposal. I've spoken in the past about how at times CSCA employees, and I should actually say district employees who are members of CSCA, at times we are congratulated for things, and we get those nice pats on the back. But that recently, over the years, those pats in the back started feeling like little shoves, you know, pats on the back, but yeah, but get back to work. But I have to tell you that this one doesn't feel like a pat on the back. After what we went through and after having read this one feels more like a slap in the face to CSC employees. Thank you for your attention.
Thank you, President CSCA Julio Pardo. Any board comments? Board Member Herrera, go ahead.
I'm not totally understanding the nature of the disagreement or the significance of the proposal in front of us. I heard your words, Mr. Pardo, but I'm more puzzled than clear. As a general matter, it's optimal for the district to work in ways that everyone's in concert and working together. So I'm going to ask, is there a time urgency on the action for tonight, or can it be brought back to December? And maybe the superintendent can.
Well, Associate Superintendent Wynn is going to give the kind of the rationale behind this decision and kind of the
And you might also respond to the concern that was raised.
concern, if you could address the concern and also just in terms of the timing
Sure,
as to
I
why
can.
it's.
So as far as the timeline, at this point, payroll for CSA staff is fully staffed. We have 3
Can hear you. Yeah,
on.
it's closer. Yeah.
So at this time, we have 3 senior payroll specialists staffed fully, starting today, in fact. However, the payroll supervisor position was created last December. And in that time of a year, it's been occupied in 5 months, basically. And so it's been sat vacant. We've had a posting up since July with 0 applications. And so we feel that elevating the pay range of this position will hopefully encourage applicants to apply for this position. So that, because right now what's happening is although we have the CSA staff full at our capacity at that point, we're still missing the payroll supervisor. And with our payroll cycles, as you know, this past go around, we've had our controller step in, and she's done a great job in the interim in helping assist the payroll department. But we really need this payroll supervisor position to be filled as soon as possible. The sooner we can get them on board, the sooner we can continue with our work and pay our staffers. But this is addressing a vacant position that was created last year and has stood vacant for a good time now.
So I'm remembering now the extreme urgency for this position. And so what concerns me is how did we get to this point with some sense of a collaborative or partnership-based process having been maintained? How did we go far from that?
So any kind of adjustments to CSA positions has to be negotiated with CSA union and their leadership. And during the negotiation process, we couldn't agree upon a resolution to adding additional staff members to the particular position at a particular pay range. And so since we couldn't agree with that, and it was our proposals was rejected, we then had to refocus our energies in trying to find a way to fill these positions as soon as we can. Now, it doesn't mean that the negotiation that we had, we can't revisit, nor that we can address at a later time. But in this instance, since it was rejected, a couple of weeks ago, that we need to move on to the supervisor position and fill this position as soon as we can.
Thank you so much. I'm still not understanding this, and it feels uncomfortable, and I understand the urgency of the matter. So that's a dilemma, and I'm going to end up supporting it with a grave concern, that somehow we need to do better in managing our process, our relationships, and how things are brought forward. I'm just having to say that.
I have a question. So this is for a payroll supervisor. Is that still someone who's still represented by CSEA, or is that's now a management
No, that's
position?
management.
Okay.
Yeah. Our initial proposal did impact the unit of CSEA membership, and that was rejected. And so this action is classified management, which doesn't fall under the negotiation parameters of CSEA.
I could just step in here, and if I make it muddier, please forgive me for that. But in looking to address our issue with payroll and seeing that we've been unable to fill the supervisor position for quite some time, there was some discussion as to whether or not we could create a new classified position and rethink this structure. So there was a classified position with a bit more authority or level of oversight, because there are checks and balances. I believe, and I don't want to get too much into negotiations,
Right.
Okay, but that idea, the CSEA was not behind for the reasons that they proposed, and we're very clear on that. And so when that idea of working around the supervisor, but including a new position, when that idea was rejected, when we decided with the counter not to go with the counter, and we said, okay, if we have the supervisor position, let's work with it. But we looked around to see other districts, and we are paying much less than districts half our size. And so if we've seen that we're not getting applicants for the supervisor position, so this isn't a new position, this is to make a salary adjustment to make us competitive with districts around us, to see if we can find a supervisor in that way. This isn't a new position, this is the current structure that we're looking to motivate application and filling it. by making sure that our salary is competitive.
So there's actually no guarantee that we'll even get applicants after this action.
You know, we would really hope that we would, because
We hope we
know that
would,
we're-
but
we have to
yeah.
address our payroll issues.
Right.
And we think that that part of the reason that we're not seeing the applications is that anybody who's in this field can look around and see districts half our size getting paid more. Why apply for us? So we're looking to become competitive with our neighbors in a position that was pre-existing, in the structure that was pre-existing, rather than the workaround that was brought forward, and both groups decided for different reasons, very, valid different reasons not to go with. So we're going back just to the original structure and making sure that our salary is competitive.
With this rate, we'll be middle of the pack, so we'll be competitive. We're not at the very top, we're not at the very bottom. Currently, we are at the very bottom. This kind of puts us in the middle and in the competitive range, correct?
Right, any other
Well,
question?
okay, I'm just gonna say one more thing. CSEA has been a good faith partner working with the district year after year in so many ways. So just speaking for myself, I just think it's important that we find a way to reach some kind of mutually workable framework of whatever needs to be done. And I understand, I keep repeating this, but I understand the extreme urgency on this. We have got to do something about our whole payroll function, and we can't keep dragging this in any way for any reason. But somehow these two have to work together. What's needed and how we do it, and whether we work in a way that we're still in mutual supportive, relationship with each other. And I'll just say that. And also it'd be great not to be surprised, at a public meeting with these dynamics and learn about it for the first time. Thank you.
All right. Do we have a motion or do we have any other questions?
I'm going to move
Staff.
for approval.
All right. Okay. Paula, how do you vote?
I had a quick question. I still am confused as to what the position does.
I'm sorry.
As
was
to
that
the
one?
position in question, the thing the race does.
Oh, the position is tasked with overseeing our payroll processes and making sure that our staff members are paid appropriately and accurately and on time.
How do you vote?
I think I'm going to abstain for this one.
All right.
Can I make a comment?
Then go ahead.
I don't know whether this will be the solution, but I do firmly believe that with communication, we can get to a good place, right? And maybe it's not even getting to a specific outcome that somebody wants, right? But the experience is different. It's felt better, right? And you understand where each other are at. And so I know that there's communication ongoing, but if it would make sense to continue the dialogue. So in future situations, if there's something that comes out of that conversation that could support future actions, I would encourage that. I don't know how both parties feel. This is to Manuel's point. I think it's a really important position that we fill for all the obvious reasons. And I still think that there is an opportunity to talk so that we learn from, regardless of whether it was us specifically who were part of these decisions or who got feedback in the past, so that we learn from the experiences and do our due diligence in ensuring that they don't happen again. And again, I want to be clear that I'm not trying to say that we're doing anything purposefully or there's malintent on anybody's end. I'm just encouraging further engagement and dialogue. That's it.
I agree with my colleagues that I know this position is urgent, and we always respect CSEA leaders, and we always want to work together, communicate each other in order to achieve our goal. But I know this time that we have to vote for this position, for tonight. So we have the motion from Board Member Guerrero, second by Board Member Joe.
Just one more, I'm sorry, just one
yes.
more comment. So I want to echo everything my colleagues have said, especially Board Member Herrera, about the CSEA has been an amazing, good faith partner. I also trust this administration, and I trust that they understand and value the importance of relationships. And so I want to know if it's possible for us to approve this with the understanding that you will still work it out with CSEA.
That was never an issue. Yeah, absolutely.
So this, I mean, really what we're doing is just it's like an administrative action. You could post the position or not post the position, after we take this action, right? It's
Right.
just that you have this in your toolbox if you end up needing it, but that really you'll continue the conversation with CSEA in the interest of time to just keep moving forward.
Correct. And this position has been posted. It's just we're making it a little more enticing for applicants.
Yeah.
Okay,
No, I know, I know. I just wanted to, I needed to say it
So
in
different.
the way
Yes.
that I was clear in my mind, so,
Right.
yeah.
so all in favor, please say aye.
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 All right, this item 14.01 passed unanimously. 14.02, discussion and action to adopt resolution 2021-2022-14 declaring the observance of Lincoln's birthday on February 25th, 2022.
Thank you, Madam President. This is a procedural item that we do annually. It is the official recognition date for Lincoln's birthday is February 12th. However, we have always celebrated that day in conjunction with our winter break period. And so we need a declaration that the board is authorizing us to celebrate on the day that matches with our winter break versus the actual day.
Move to approve.
I want to, before the board, I want to know that there is written public comment on this item.
Public comment from parent Kevin Larson. I request as a parent that this item not be approved at this school board meeting. I request more outreach is done by the students and staff to approve the name of this holiday after President Lincoln. We do have in USA a President's Day holiday, so why are we changing the name to Lincoln Day? Such changes need to have buy-in by students and staff and parents. So I request that your board members hold off on this and explore if the name is proper or not. That is the end of public comment on this item.
Thank you, Mary.
We'll practice with President's Day versus Lincoln's or whatever. I'm a little foggy right now in remembering how we usually do this annually.
Yeah, so this is not an issue of naming a holiday or naming what we're celebrating. This is simply aligning our current calendar in which the days that we take off of the instructional calendar. Instead of following the February 12th, the official date, we're aligning it with our winter vacation or winter break.
Why is it described as Lincoln's birthday versus President's Day? That's what I'm hearing in the public comment.
So I think the public comment, I believe he thinks that we are trying to rename this date and we're not. We're just merely stating that we're celebrating this date on a different day based on our winter vacation.
Does that mean every year we observe Lincoln's birthday versus observe President's Day?
I think we observe both, but we combine it all together into that week that we have off in February.
I'm so confused.
Yeah, so
We do President's Day and we do Lincoln's
Lincoln
birthday.
birthday.
yeah, so typically other districts would have 2 3-day weekends in February.
Okay.
One for Lincoln's birthday, one for President's Day.
Okay.
In our district, historically, we've essentially have combined those 3-day weekends into that week off in February. And so therefore, the dates misalign with when we actually celebrate those days with the official federal holiday.
I see. All right.
Somebody make a motion.
Someone make- One move? Oh, you
Second.
move, and who second? Chavez, second. Paula, how do you vote?
I vote yes.
Thank you. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Right, the item 14.02 passed unanimously. Right, we move to, we don't have any item for 15.01. So we move to a consent action calendar from 16 to 21.
I'll move to approve the consent calendar.
As you move to approve, I would like to let you know that there is public comment on 1811, 20.1, 20.2, and 20.05. 1811, 20.01, 20.02, 20.05. If you'd like to have those
Okay,
read out to you in
The
advance.
approval for all except
And
those
move,
items
accept
being
those
approved.
items, right? Accept 18.11, 20.01, 20.02, and 20.05.
Procedural question. When there's public comment on consent calendar, do we need to pull the items and vote on them separately? Or
Yes.
can we hear the comments and then?
We
vote on
Have to
consent?
pull them and vote on them.
Okay, we'll pull
separately.
on.
Yeah.
Okay, got it. Thank you.
So we have motion by board member Cotizi, second by board member Doe. Oh, Chavez. Okay, by Chavez. Paula, how do you vote for this item for consent calendar?
I vote yes.
Thank you. All in favor, please say aye.
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 All right, now we coming back to 18.11. That's approve award of bids and request for proposal for general purchasing. Mr. Ron Willihan, interim associate superintendent.
I think what we'll do is we'll just read the public comment and then you can decide whether you want to move or need additional information.
Okay, please go ahead, Mary.
Public comment from parent Kevin Larson. RFP evaluation criteria seems to be whack in my view as a parent. Cost should have the majority of a factor. I request the school board to ask who makes the percentages of the RFP decisions, what people, what committee. Also, it is requested that this $500,000 suggested bid be postponed until a more proper RFP system is approved by the ESUHSD school board. I am also concerned about friendship bid awards in that the percentages are vague and we do not know if favoritism is involved because we do not know who awarded the RFP percentages. Request school board postpone this award until school board gets the above questions answered. And 2, cost should be the deciding factor. That is the end of public comment on 18.11.
All right, so. we need to-
Appreciate the concerns being expressed. I believe that if our public commenter were to actually have more detailed information, all of his concerns would be resolved. Everything that we do in these types of matters goes strictly by protocol, by law, by policy. And I'm prepared to move for approval of this item. And I do so now.
All right. Who's second? Who's second?
Second? No, are
That
you
is-
looking for a second?
Yeah,
I'm,
right.
me.
Thank you, board member Cotizi. Paula, how do you vote for 18.11?
I vote yes.
Thank you. Any other board member have any question? If not, then all in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Thank you. Item 18.11 passed unanimously. We move to 20.01 is approve award of bids and request for proposal for bond capital projects.
Why don't we read public comment?
Yes, please.
Public comment submitted by parent Kevin Larson. Request school board pull the contracts that are not bid or only have one bid. See attachment number 2. Over $1 million on a non-bid piggyback bid Request school board ask Santa Clara County Office of Ed to review this for legal reasons. And 2, why did it not go out to bid? According to page 8 of attachment 2, the contract violates that small business were not considered. Thus, the contract is illegal prior to placing orders under the CMS program. State agencies shall, whenever practicable, first consider offers from small businesses that have established CMAS Government Code, section 14846, subsection B. Note, the Department of General Services auditors will request substantiation of compliance with this requirement when agency files are reviewed. That is the end of public comment under 20.01.
Thank you, Mary. Any
Comment by
comments?
the administration.
I did speak with Mr. Larson this afternoon, and I assured him that I reviewed this as well as our contract director of contracts, Brandy May, who is also available on Zoom. But we reviewed all of these items, especially the ones he refers to, and they all look in order.
And what?
And they all look in order.
Okay, so Mr. Larson actually had the benefit of more information and still brought his comment forward tonight.
That's true. I spoke with him. I tried to go one by one, but he had
All right,
other
thank you very
comments.
much.
So,
Move for
yeah.
approval of 20.01.
Paula, how do you vote?
I vote yes.
Thank you. All in favor, please say aye.
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 Thank you. The item 20.01 passed unanimously.
And thank you, Mr. Whelan, for taking the time to engage with our community and making sure that they had all their answers, their questions answered, and also for giving us the details. Really appreciate it.
Thank you. 20.02, approve the capital program budget adjustment report. Comment from Mr. Public.
Public comment from parent Kevin Larson. Please check the attachment, school board members. Take time to do this before you vote on anything. The attachment shows in my parent LCAP view a possible favoritism with the companies listed. Do they bid? If so, are they the only bids often? This all has to be audited in my view, and I have asked the Santa Clara County Office of Education to do this. Why does GW Roofing have a fund? That is the end of public comment under 20.02.
I'm not exactly clear why does GW Roofing have a fund, but the one he was referring to, we had multiple bids for a roofing project, and they're all in the public information.
Again, I appreciate the concern of our member of the community here. And I'm satisfied that the district is acting properly in all aspects of this matter. And we don't go on, fishing expeditions based on potential things that may or may not have. We need actually something pretty solid in order to say, well, yeah, we've got an issue here. But all I hear from Mr. Larson are possible things that may or may not be occurring and that he wants an investigation into. And that's not the basis on which we initiate or stop. We don't initiate investigations on speculative inquiry process. So someone else can move on for approval on this because I'm moving on all of them.
You were already
Moved by Board Member Chavez, second by Board Member Doe. Paula, how do you vote?
I vote yes.
Thank you. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Thank you. Item 20.02 passed unanimously. The last item we're going to vote and we'll hear from public is 20.05, ratify, approve California Uniform Public Construction Cost Accounting Act, KUCA, informal bond projects.
Public comment on behalf of parent Kevin Larson. Informal contract agreement in the amount of $60,001 up to $200,000. Guerrero Construction Group, Independence Newfield Concession and Restroom Building, flagpole IH0000 C02 in the amount of $84,700. Also listing Andy's Roofing, DW Roofing, SC/SC 000000803 in the amount of $180,000. $180,700. I believe the above example is illegal because it is not a bid and ESUHSD seems to not be following law. The SCCOE will perhaps be a place that ESUHSD can get help from or school site services. This is just one of many non-bids over mandated bid amount by law. I ask you board members, hold off from voting on this agenda item till you research the law. That is the end of public comment under 20.05.
When we use the bidding process and when we don't is so regulated and so overseen and so audited. I want to move for approval on 20.05.
Paula, how do you vote?
I vote yes.
All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Thank you for 20.05. I want to say I appreciate public comment from parent Kevin Larson. And I know that staff and the district has worked very hard to make it clear one of those contract, and we are very due diligent for our job. So I'm trusted, our district staff working on those projects, and appreciate for the comments, but we gonna have to move ahead on the other item. Right, 21.01. I don't think we have any written report recommendation. So we move to 20.01, opportunity for board trustee to request item on future agendas. No? No? Okay,
One.
go ahead, board member Kotisi.
I was so grateful for Paula bringing up the thing about Equity Council, and I would love to hear more about that at some point.
Awesome.
I'm not sure we've talked about that as a board, if we are all informed about what Equity Council is.
Yeah, we'll bring that back as we continue exploring our efforts around multi-tool systems of support and incorporating student voice into that work.
Awesome. Right. No other requests item. 22.02. Then we move to 22.03, annual governance calendar. I think we don't have to vote anything at all. Nothing else will change. Then the next item is 23.01, board trustee and superintendent communication comments. We go for my right, board member Guerrero.
No comment. Thank you.
Okay, board member Patty Kotisi.
Not a lot to say. I've been out to our school sites and again, just want to affirm the good work of Julio Lucas and our bond program. Our schools are looking great. And was so inspired to speak with one of our administrators today who said, not only students are welcome as they are, but they are a blessing. And I love that. Like, if we can embrace every student as a blessing, that's awesome. I also want to comment on how great it is to have Paula with us in person tonight. You add so much to our board, to have the leadership of the student governing board has grown so much over the years, and you are by far the most articulate and engaged member we've had, and just thank you so much for showing up and being who you are and speaking your wisdom and your experience and standing up for your student colleagues. I just think that's awesome.
Awesome. Thank you, board member Kotisi. About board member Chavez, your comments.
I'm gonna say no comments, but I have to express my gratitude to Paula también. Thank you for being here. I know there's a lot going on college apps right now. Busy time. and yet you still make time to come here and continue to be engaged. So thank you for being here.
Board Member Doe?
I'd like to reserve my comment for next meeting.
Well, next meeting will be December. Well, and December will be, we have only one board meeting, right? For me, I think it's, I really want to appreciate all the hard work. And I look at the presentation from the bond projects. Like I said, I look at those building, the new building, and those new project that we have on our district. I just want to say, well, everyone that want to come and celebrate it. And I know that I have an invitation for the music hall on Monday, November 22nd, 2021 at Andrew Hill High School. I'm looking forward to attend this event to celebrate and looking forward for all of this good project from our district. So I don't know if all board member would join me. And like I said, I'm looking forward for the ribbon cutting for Overfell, the adult education. God, we have so many projects that we want to celebrate because now we come back from the pandemic and everyone looking forward, you know, to really take pride on their school, take pride on the building, and take pride on the achievement, accomplishment from our students. And I really want to say that, well, we approach next week is Thanksgiving. I wish everyone have a happy Thanksgiving. Relax, enjoy the time with family. This is the best time, you know, that we, you know, have to come back in person. Appreciate all of this hard work from teachers as well as CSEA staff. And I also agree with my board colleagues that welcome back in person, Paula, as a board, school board student representative. We love to have you back in person and we want to see your presence much more. I know you've been very busy to apply for all of this application to college and some scholarship. So I think that we'll move on with Paula. Paula already talked about. Paula, did you have your comments?
Yeah, I just want to thank like the staff at Mount Pleasant and the equity team there for just being so welcoming of the Evergreen Equity Council and for just again having that amazing workshop and for all the ideas that are put out there. Also want to shout out to again all the seniors who are applying to college or just trying to figure out what they're going to do after high school. I think we're just kind of going through it, finishing the semester, trying to finish strong, you know. And I know it's been hard for a lot of students, so I just want to kind of recognize their diligence and work.
Awesome. Thank you, Paula. 23.03, Superintendent Glenn Vandersea.
Yeah, thanks a lot. First, I'd like to honor the members of 4 alumni who made their way into the Eastside Education Foundation Hall of Fame last Saturday night. That was really great, seeing our students that are out there changing the world as grown-ups. And, you know, and then working with our students today and going, oh, we got some great Hall of Fame events to come because our students are amazing. And the work that our teachers and students are doing every day and the way they're considering real world issues and preparing themselves for it, it's incredible. Speaking of real world issues, last year on November 1st, we had 204 students actively identified as McKinney-Vento or qualifying for McKinney-Vento. In other words, unhoused students. This year, we have over 430. So we can see the effect of COVID. We can see the effect of additional research out to students that we've qualified twice as many students than a year ago as being unhoused, and whether they're living in cars or couch surfing or whatever the situation is, the need is great. And so in the past, we've housed McKinney-Vento dinner and provided for families. This year, we're making the decision to really invest in warm goods, socks, gloves, and as well as gift cards that families can use in this. I want to thank the Moon Festival for almost over $18,000 in donations that were made. And I know that other people will be contributing or are intending to contribute. Thank you so much. We are looking to distribute goods by December 10 and start getting that out to families. And so tomorrow, just be aware that there will be a message going out to everybody just around this event, around the issue, and an opportunity for someone to donate if they'd like to. So I just want to make sure everybody's aware of that. I know we're all given and we're all like, whew, we're running out of energies and gas, but we're staying in it, and just want to make sure that we are mindful that there are over 400 students that right now can't count on housing as part of a support to deal with the issues of adolescence and being successful in school. And for any opportunity for giving that someone can contribute, we'll make sure it gets to them. Thank you.
Yeah, I also want to mention that if every one of us will receive some email from the district about McKinney-Vento, please pass it on your Facebook or social media, because I know this year is really big impact to our East Side student. And I really want to appreciate, everyone that contributed. I remember that usually Esther always contributed like a 5,000. Looking forward to see Esther contribution this year for our student as well as CSEA. And we all gonna want to have a good memory for our student this year, despite we will not hold a dinner at the district. But I'm looking forward. This is the 10th anniversary. I remember when I first started, it's my 11 years, but it's for the McKinney-Vento project, it's the 10th anniversary. And I know that student services and staff and district administrator have been providing, cook the dinner and providing one of this gift to the siblings. That's very good memory. And I'm really cheerful for all of those works, from our district, from food distribution, from Julie Casper. And I think we're gonna pass this on this year, and we hope that we're gonna celebrate again next year. And so we continue to work and try to fundraise so we can achieve our goal. Is 25,000, right, Glenn?
Our goal has always been 25,000, and I just would like to say this just in. If Julio, I don't know if you want to approach the mic, but we'd like to thank that CSEA just send a check or donation of over $500 to the event. So thank you very much.
Thank you,
All our
CSCA.
All our CSEA employees.
Yeah, thank you. And they've been wonderful. They always work behind the scene with the kitchen to cook the meal for the family for McKinney-Vento. All right. The next item is 23.02 for board meeting evaluation. Well, we're gonna leave here before 8:20. So that's still good enough. And probably this is my last board meeting as president. So we move to 24.01. Legal counsel will report on closed session. Please, Rogelio.
Yes. Closed session item 2.02. This is regarding student matter 2122-06. The board unanimously approved the expulsion. Student number 2122-07. The board unanimously approved the stipulated agreement in lieu of expulsion. Student 21-2208. The board unanimously approved the stipulated agreement in lieu of expulsion. Student 21-22-09. The board unanimously approved the stipulated agreement in lieu of expulsion. Student 21-22-10. The board unanimously approved the stipulated agreement in lieu of expulsion. Student 21-22-11, the board unanimously approved the stipulated agreement in lieu of expulsion. Student 21-22-12, the board unanimously approved the stipulated agreement in lieu of expulsion. Closed session item 2.04, the board unanimously approved the appointment of Sean Tran as Coordinator of Adult Education. There are no further actions to report.
Thank you, General Counsel Rogerio. And I know our next board meeting is December 14 for annual organizational and regular board meeting. I just also want to say that at the Hall of Fame, I did bid 4 items, and I think I bid 6 items, but I got 4 items. So meeting adjourned. Thank you. Happy, safe holidays.